Chief of Police for the American Fork Police Department.
Okay. Brother, do you mind turning up the volume? Holy, it's actual ASMR. Wow. I cannot really hear him. Why is he whispering? Are his parents asleep in the next room? What is this?
I'd like to address the members of our American Fork and Cedar Hills community regarding some videos currently circulating on social media that have been presented in a way that calls into question some of the actions of our department.
And we can't have that. You're not allowed to question the actions of our department. We do nothing wrong. Why is it so fucking quiet? I can hardly hear him. I actually can barely hear him. I need to bass boost this guy. Deep fry his ass. Holy, I actually can't hear it at all. Maybe this. Let me see if that helps.
These videos are affiliated with an influencer on YouTube and other social media platforms and stem from a dispute involving Legos that originates in the state of Oregon. In this message,
I actually have to turn on subtitles. Bro, I can't hear you. Oh my god. Use your outside voice, please. Oh, wow.
we'll be presenting 4 different cases and police responses from our police department, and we'll provide a detailed overview as to what happened and what our actions were. On March 8, 2026, an American Fork resident, Joshua Johnson, requested phone contact from the American Fork Police Department regarding a suspicious individual who had earlier arrived at his home. Officer Tonga with the American Fork Police Department contacted Mr. Johnson by phone. Mr. Johnson reported that earlier that same day, a suspicious male had been at his residence. He stated the male was wearing a baseball cap with a UPS logo taped onto it. Mr. Johnson also reported that a suspicious package had been left at the residence. He explained that what appeared suspicious was that the shipping label did not look legitimate. The package was later determined to contain rubber ducks. Mr. Johnson reported that he believed the male was an individual named Benjamin Snyder, who, according to Johnson,
I can't believe it.
Mr. Johnson further explained that civil proceedings were occurring in Oregon and stated that he believed Snyder was sending individuals to his home to harass him. While Officer
To serve him, brother, they can only go forward if he gets served the papers, which is what he was trying to explain to the officers that were called out there numerous times, literally countless times. How else, like, he can't go himself because Josh is a bitch and has, like, formally trespassed him, so if he shows up, he goes to jail for it. But by law, through the legal process, he has to serve those papers. So, like, what's he supposed to do? Now, the rubber ducks, that's probably something totally separate. I'm sure that probably doesn't tie directly in to serving him the papers. But, brother, it's not harassing him to try and serve him the legal documents. This is a legit tactic process servers use, by the way. The rubber ducks is? Let me look that up. I'm very unfamiliar with all of this, so let me see. I see like a couple of things about it. I don't know if it's necessarily common, but I guess. No, like using disguises. Oh, that I know. I thought you were talking about the rubber ducks. No, I know about that. That's a very common thing. I thought you were talking about sending rubber ducks for some reason as, like, first contact. And there's, like, 2 things that pop up for it called rubber ducking. So I don't know. That could be the new meta. Not really, it didn't work.
On the phone with Mr. Johnson. Johnson reported that 2 females had exited a vehicle and were walking toward his property. He also reported that a male driver remained inside the vehicle. Officers Tonga and Richardson responded to the area. Officer Tonga contacted the driver, who identified himself as Benjamin Adams. Although Adams initially stated he was there for unrelated reasons, he later admitted he had been filming Mr. Johnson while Johnson was walking around the exterior of his residence. Adams told Officer Tonga that an individual named Benjamin Snyder had flown into Utah on March 7, 2026, and had contacted Adams requesting assistance with filming, for which Adams would be compensated by Snyder. Adams reported that Snyder had left prior to officers' arrival and stated Snyder was driving a Hyundai passenger car. Officer Tonga issued Adams a trespass warning at Mr. Johnson's request and instructed him not to return to Mr. Johnson's residence. At approximately the same time, Officer Richardson arrived in the area and located a dark-colored Hyundai vehicle. Richardson initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle for failing to stop before the stop line at a stop sign and failing to stop completely at that stop sign.
Does this guy then go on to say the officer was incorrect? Because we have the dash cam. He realizes this lie is immediately debunked when you look at the dash cam. They stopped at the stop sign. This is a provable lie. Surely he goes on to say that the officer was incorrect, right? Obviously he's gonna mention that, no doubt.
Richardson contacted the driver, who identified himself as Tyler Shaw. A rear passenger also identified himself as Benjamin Snyder. When Officer Tonga arrived at the
Nope, nothing about it being incorrect about the not stopping at the stop sign. Nothing about that. You know your own evidence contradicts your statement, right? This is is this a crime? Are you allowed to just lie about the circumstances of this? I don't know. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a lawyer.
Who stated he was in Utah filming a series regarding civil proceedings originating out of Oregon. Both individuals denied any involvement in delivering the package. At that point, Officer Tonga determined that Adams, Shaw, and Snyder did not appear to have committed any violations of Utah's criminal code. Officer Tonga...
There we go. Yep, that sounds about right.
...that they were trespassed from Mr. Johnson's property and could not return. Both individuals acknowledged the trespass warning and were released. On March 9th, 2026, Joshua Johnson again contacted our department to report that a male was at his front door, ringing the doorbell and knocking. Mr. Johnson reported the male claimed to be part of a YouTube initiative, and Mr. Johnson stated that the male was harassing him. Johnson also reported that the male had pounded on the door, opened the screen door, attempted to open the front door, and had looked through some of the windows to the residence. Officer Hawkins with the American Fork Police Department responded and contacted the male, who identified himself as Christian Morgan. Morgan told Officer Hawkins he was attempting to help his friend Benjamin Snyder contact Mr. Johnson regarding a dispute involving a business known as Bricks and Minifigs, and some alleged money that was owed. Officer Hawkins asked Morgan how he became involved. Morgan stated that Snyder had posted on Instagram indicating he was coming to Utah and needed assistance from locals to get around town. Morgan offered to help and explained that at one point while he was in the vehicle with Snyder, Snyder requested help contacting Mr. Johnson. Morgan told Officer Hawkins that Snyder was likely nearby in a church parking lot. Officer Hawkins determined that Morgan had falsely represented himself to Mr. Johnson through his doorbell camera as belonging to a nearby church congregation that did not exist. Morgan had also told Mr. Johnson that he had been sent by Johnson's church leader. Morgan acknowledged to Officer Hawkins that these statements were false and that he had made them at the direction of Mr. Snyder. Officer Hawkins issued Morgan a trespass warning and instructed him not to return to the residence. As Officer Hawkins prepared to locate Snyder as part of the investigation, he observed Morgan walking toward a Hyundai passenger vehicle occupied by several individuals. Officer Hawkins believed Snyder may have been inside of the vehicle and intended to contact him as part of the investigation.
There's got to be a way to turn this guy up. There's got to be. I can't even focus on what he's saying because I can hardly fucking hear it. I feel like I'm taking like a physical with the doctor right now to check my hearing. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable how soft-spoken this guy is. And let me see if this extension works. I accidentally almost bookmarked it. Okay, let me see if that does anything.
Officer Hawkins initiated a
Not
traffic
much.
stop on the vehicle. As this occurred, Morgan turned away from the vehicle and ran away from officers. Officers did not pursue Morgan because he had not committed a crime, and Morgan was not observed again by our officers. Officer Hawkins discovered the vehicle was occupied by Tyler Shaw and Benjamin Snyder, both of whom had been trespassed from Mr. Johnson's residence the previous day. As Officer Hawkins spoke with Shaw and Snyder, they initially denied sending Morgan to the residence. Later in this conversation, Snyder admitted they had indeed sent Morgan and another unidentified individual to attempt to contact Mr. Johnson because, according to Snyder, their civil case could not proceed without an attempt at verbal reconciliation.
I mean, it's not just according to them, it's according to law, brother. Why are you making it sound like that's up for debate? It's literally part of the legal process. I don't know why he's trying to frame it that way. Damn, they're getting dunked on hard. American Fork Police Department really getting it rough right now.
During the interaction, Officer Fraughton indicated he believed Shaw's eyes appeared glossy and expressed concern regarding possible impairment.
You're not going to mention why they got, why this has happened now? Because someone put in a tip that they had heroin? Are we just glossing over that? Did I miss it because I can't fucking hear this guy at all? Sounds like he's talking to me from underwater. We're not going to address the fact that you have just pulled them over because someone gave you a tip that they have heroin, so now you're acting off of just like a fraudulent lie? And now you're saying, oh, his eyes looked glossy. We're not going to bring that up? Interesting, very interesting.
Officer Hawkins asked Shaw if he would be willing to participate in field sobriety testing to ensure he was safe to drive. Shaw agreed. Field sobriety tests were conducted and no signs of impairment were observed. During this same time, while Officer Hawkins was conducting his investigation, Officer Fraughton used his police service dog to conduct an open-air sniff around the vehicle. Fraughton's police service dog alerted to the presence of the odor of a controlled substance. Subsequently searched. No illegal substances were located inside of the vehicle.
Okay, they just went out of order.
During a conversation, Snyder admitted to Officer Hawkins that he and Shaw had actually delivered a package of ducks to Mr. Johnson's residence with the intent to have Mr. Johnson sign a fake delivery confirmation on Snyder's phone so that Snyder could later use that signature to create a forged contract claiming Snyder could not be trespassed from the property for 5 years. Snyder indicated he did not believe there was anything wrong with this and believed that there was nothing wrong with his posing as a UPS delivery driver. Ultimately, Officer Hawkins warned Shaw and Snyder again that they were approaching conduct that could potentially constitute harassment or stalking if they continued to send individuals to Mr. Johnson's residence. Officer Hawkins reaffirmed that
So this was about the ducks. It was a plan to get him to sign his ability to keep trespassing them forever. Reload the page to make the extension work.
Snyder could later use that signature to create a forged.
That didn't seem to change it unless
contract claiming Snyder could not be trespassed from the property for 5 years. Snyder indicated he did not believe there was anything wrong with this and believed that there was nothing wrong with his posing as a UPS delivery driver. Ultimately, Officer Hawkins warned Shaw and Snyder again that they were approaching conduct that could potentially constitute harassment or stalking if they continued to send individuals to Mr. Johnson's residence. Officer Hawkins reaffirmed the trespass warning and released both of them from the scene.
Yes, that seems like it was a pretty bad idea there.
On
To
March
try and
10th,
get him to sign a
2026,
fake document to
Katie
use as
Johnson,
like a legally
wife
binding way of getting out of the
Joshua Johnson,
trespass.
reported that a female
That
was
probably wasn't
standing near the
smart.
front door of her residence taking photographs of the home. The female was described as wearing long, fake, curly hair. Shortly afterward, Joshua Johnson contacted police and reported he was going to shoot someone as a result of the ongoing harassment. Multiple officers
Huh.
immediately responded to the area. While en route, Officer Sumbot with the American Fork Police Department.
That seems like a really interesting thing just to get through pretty quickly. So Josh said he was going to shoot someone because people keep showing up to try and serve him the legal papers that he's avoiding and still hasn't paid out in the small claims court victory. Huh. We're just... That's not something we take seriously?
To shoot someone as a result of the ongoing harassment. Multiple officers immediately responded to the area. While en route, Officer Sumbot with the American Fork Police Department contacted Mr. Johnson by phone. Mr. Johnson reported that Benjamin Snyder and several affiliates were outside of his residence and had approached the home, frightening his wife and his children. When Officer Sumbot arrived, he located a vehicle parked north of the Johnson residence, and that vehicle was occupied by Sierra Lautz and Benjamin Snyder. Officer Sumbot asked what they were doing in the area. Snyder stated that he was involved in a court case and needed to provide legal paperwork to Mr. Johnson.
Yep.
Snyder indicated he worked for himself and that Lautz was his process server. Officer Sumbot then contacted Mr. Johnson to gather additional information regarding the situation. Mr. Johnson explained there was an ongoing dispute involving a Bricks and Minifigs franchise located in Oregon. Mr. Johnson stated that the prior owner, Crystal Law, had reported
No, we already know this part. He's just going to tell them that lie.
sent to the store to secure the franchise location and protect company assets. Mr. Johnson further explained
Not company assets,
that
by the way, since
Law
they didn't pay
had
for
entered
it
into a
and apparently don't do consignment,
with an
so it's
individual
not
named
theirs.
Brian Mansell, but according to Johnson, Mansell had not been paid. Mr. Johnson stated that when he arrived at the Oregon franchise location, Mansell demanded payment from Johnson and his business partner. Johnson reported that corporate representatives advised him they would address the consignment issue directly. However, Johnson claimed that Mansell continued attempting to hold Johnson and his business partner personally responsible under the agreement. Mr. Johnson also
Pretty
reported
reasonable.
there were Lego sets believed to belong to Mansell that remained at the store. According to Johnson, they offered to return those items, but Mansell refused and continued demanding compensation. Mr. Johnson alleged that Mansell had hired Benjamin Snyder to harass, stalk, vandalize the store, threaten to murder the manager,
Threatened to murder.
and forge signatures.
The forged signatures apparently ties into the rubber duck, so maybe that's true, but threatened to murder the manager of the store? What? Yeah, just like Josh believed that there was heroin in Ben's vehicle, which obviously wasn't true. Huh. What an interesting thought there. What an interesting theory. So they're saying now that they offered to return the Legos and Brian refused. That would be news to me. Because even when their fucking COO or CEO, whoever it was that went on stream to beclown himself publicly last night, even he was like, we're not giving them back. Or whatever. So it seems like they really don't want to give them back. I don't know if that option was ever on the table. Or maybe it's like in part one, where Josh was like, oh yeah, you just have to give me an apology and I'll get them right back to you. So they go through all of that and then he never gives them back. He just keeps kicking the can down the road and still never gives them back. Very interesting. What a guy. What a guy.
Johnson then explained to Officer Sumbot several incidences from the previous days allegedly involving Snyder and or Snyder's affiliates. Officer Sumbot informed Mr. Johnson that Snyder stated he was present with a process server to serve legal paperwork.
Is that right? It's because the Legos they offered to return were valued between $2.5 to $5K, so it was a small fraction of what they stole. Is that it? So they did offer to give him back like 2 sets from the collection. Like, all right, here, scram. Here's 2 sets back. So that's what he's referring to? Okay.
Johnson claimed the paperwork was fraudulent. Officer Sumbot again contacted Snyder, who stated they needed to physically deliver copies of the paperwork to Mr. Johnson. Officer Sumbot's report states, Snyder told me he was following the government's instructions and that Johnson keeps calling the cops on him to avoid getting in trouble for his crimes. Snyder said this is the 3rd time Johnson has called the cops because he thinks that if he keeps calling the cops on him, he can get away with it. But we are showing him that he's not going to get away with these crimes. Snyder allowed
That sounds good.
Sumbot to take the paperwork to Mr. Johnson, which Officer Sumbot did in an attempt to help Mr. Snyder. Officer Sumbot advised Mr. Johnson that the paperwork appeared to be related to a claim and a case that originated in Oregon. Mr. Johnson stated that he had already contacted the Oregon Law Enforcement Agency with jurisdiction, which was the Kaiser Police Department, and had been told that nothing had been filed. Mr. Johnson also stated he believed this.
That's interesting, considering there's evidence that it had been filed that the officers even looked at too.
And declined to accept service.
Okay.
Sumbot contacted the Marion County Circuit Court in Oregon to verify the legitimacy of the paperwork. The court confirmed that the case was indeed legitimate, but that papers had already been served and no hearing date had yet been scheduled.
That would be big if true. Doesn't seem true, though.
Yeah.
So this is what you're trying to serve them with?
Yes. That's required by the court that we have. I wish we could just send them an email. I wish we could just send them a phone call, or the court could send it to them, but this is what we're required to do from the United States court. So we're just following the instructions of the government.
Have you guys been here before?
I have once. I came one time to have a good faith conversation with him before suing, which the government also requires us to have before.
So are you Benjamin Schneider?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just following basically the instructions of the government, and he keeps calling the cops on me to try to avoid getting in trouble for his crimes.
Okay.
So that's why he keeps calling. I think it's like the 3rd time he's called the cops now on us, because he thinks if I just call the cops on me, he can get away with it. But we're showing him like we're not going to let him get away with his crimes. So.
Okay. You okay if I give these papers to him?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, do they show this with no redactions?
Okay, we might need you to fill out some documents later then as proof of service, if that's okay, but because whoever serves him has to fill out a proof of service and might have to fill out some court papers, but that's just the legal way to do it.
Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Nope, still redacted. Cool. So we'll go ahead and take the full department's word on it.
He does not want the paper. So
He's not want the papers?
here's that back for you.
Okay.
He wanted you trespassed.
While officers were speaking with the involved parties, a sign was also located on the park strip across from Mr. Johnson's residence.
It's so interesting. If the actual order of events is he had already been served the papers appropriately and this was all for content, it surely would have been really easy to let us see that conversation and him prove that he had already gotten the service. But I guess we just have to trust the American Fork Police Department that they're being truthful. We know Josh is a real upstanding guy. We know he's no nonsense, straight as an arrow. So we should extend that same courtesy to the American Fork Police Department, which has already told 2 bold-faced lies in this statement already alone. Provable lies, by the way.
Did Mr. Johnson holding U.S. currency in both hands while standing in front of an elderly man lying in a hospital bed. The sign contained the statement, "I stole a dying man's life savings." Snyder admitted he had placed the sign earlier that day. Officer Sumbot advised Snyder that, based on the ongoing conduct being reported and observed, officers believed his actions were approaching the statutory elements of stalking under Utah law. Specifically, officers expressed concern regarding repeated appearances at the residence, directing multiple individuals to contact the family, photographing the home, and placing objects and signs at the property. Officers had already given Snyder earlier warnings. Snyder responded that he believed he was following court procedure. An individual commits stalking if the individual intentionally or knowingly engages in a course of conduct directed at a specific individual. And
I bet my fart was more audible than this guy's entire speech so far.
Would cause a reasonable person to fear for the individual's own safety or the safety of another, or to suffer other emotional distress. Utah law defines a course of conduct as 2 or more acts directed toward a specific individual, including, but not limited to, following, monitoring, observing, photographing, surveilling, or communicating to or about an individual. It also includes approaching or confronting an individual, appearing at an individual's residence, contacting an individual's neighbors.
No, I get it. Like, you can definitely make the argument that it would be like stalking or harassment adjacent, but if the orders of the legal system are to serve these papers, and he constantly uses the police department as his own fucking hound dogs to prevent him from doing that, what else is he supposed to do? How else do you serve those papers? They're really fixated on that element as opposed to giving the solution of how he's supposed to lawfully serve these papers in the event that they are refusing the service. I'm genuinely, what else do? You get a process servicer, which is what he did, right? Wasn't that the legal processor? So, like, they did. So what's the other method? If you can't do email and you can't do phone, it has to be physical for whatever fucking reason, and they just keep saying, nuh-uh. What else, like, how else are you supposed to do it that doesn't somehow tiptoe on this line of what is stalking adjacent? Like, I get, like, the filming and stuff. Yeah, you could definitely make that as a stronger case, whatever. But the guy is still just refusing it. That still seems like you should be more on the side of the person trying to deliver this lawful order from the legal system to the guy who knowingly still hasn't paid out the small claims court loss that he owes. He is still dodging that, which is a crime. So, I don't know, just, what's the solution then? I'd love to hear the American Fork Police Department explain it. I'd love to know. The server does it on your behalf, which is what they tried. Even the officer in this, like, in the video, and even in their own body cam, the officer was going to be the server, but Josh said no. So he didn't serve it, and they redacted the entire conversation suspiciously. Or not suspicious, obviously, there's nothing fishy going on there. But, like, even a police officer who went to serve it didn't successfully serve it because Josh said no. So then what do you do? It still counts as served at that point? Not in the system, it doesn't. How would they know? How would they know if it counts as served if the guy said no? Because you have to submit it. And like Ben said, I think he's right, I have heard of this. The submitter, like the actual processor, the person that serves it, has to also fill it out to confirm that it has been served. So I don't think you can just be like, it was close enough, so it counts. Again, I'm pretty new to all this stuff here, but it seems like there was not a whole lot of opportunity here to do it in any other way. Even the fucking police officers couldn't successfully serve Josh, and I guess that's fine. I don't know. It's very odd. But you could make the case that it's overboard because of, like, he kept showing up. But again, without a whole lot of options, how else are you even going to attempt to pursue justice in a case like this?
Cause that Snyder had committed the offenses of stalking and targeted residential picketing under Utah law. Snyder was subsequently arrested and transported to the Utah County Jail.
That was his first arrest. That arrest happened right after they learned that the lawsuit and everything was legitimate. So the officer got that information, confirmed it through the official channels, and then they immediately went to arrest him, by the way.
On March 11th, 2026, Joshua Johnson again contacted the American Fork Police Department to report that Benjamin Snyder and several affiliates were again in the area. Mr. Johnson
This was the
reported
sign.
that the individual he believed had been stalking him was across the street from his residence, placing another sign containing Johnson's photograph. Johnson also reported that individuals involved were speaking with his neighbors. Officer Richardson with the American Fork Police Department responded to the area and observed 4 individuals hanging a sign directly across from Johnson's residence. The sign appeared to be either the same sign or a replica of the sign that was referenced in case 26AF02033. Officer Richardson contacted the group and asked what they were doing. The group stated they were supporting a GoFundMe campaign for a dying man. One of the individuals, later identified as Sheldon Norcross, voluntarily showed Officer Richardson his phone to display the GoFundMe. While viewing the phone, Officer Richardson observed that Norcross was actively engaged in a FaceTime call. Officer Richardson asked Norcross who it was he was speaking with, and specifically asked whether it was Benjamin Snyder. Norcross confirmed Snyder was on the FaceTime call.
God, he's like their boogeyman over there in
After
Utah.
reviewing the known facts and the elements of Utah's stalking statute, and taking into consideration the new actions from that day, Officer Richardson established probable cause to arrest Snyder for an additional count of stalking.
Jesus.
Specifically, Richardson believed Snyder was coordinating conduct through third parties that constituted a continued course of conduct under the statute we reviewed. Officer Richardson then decided to seize Norcross's phone, pending the approval of a search warrant, in order to preserve potential evidence and prevent the deletion or alteration of any data. According to Officer Richardson's report, when Norcross was informed that the phone was going to be seized, Norcross immediately began manipulating the device.
Oh my god, he's actually going for it. He's alting. That manipulating the device, it's all on camera, by the way. He went to lock his phone. That's the manipulation they're talking about on the device. Making it sound like he went in there with, like, a fucking magnet or something to start, like, tampering with it and erasing it like he hacked into the mainframe. Because the officer fucking freaked out. He's like, don't do it! And he's, like, reaching for his gun or something. Don't do it! You're destroying evidence! Because he locked his phone. It's all on camera, by the way. So now it is officially, they are doubling down on that, digging their heels in, saying that he was manipulating the device, implying that he was trying to hide nefarious activity and shit.
Richardson wrote in his report, Norcross then immediately opened his phone and began manipulating it, which led myself and Lieutenant Adamson to believe he was attempting to destroy evidence on his device. At that point, Officer Richardson and Lieutenant Adamson forcibly removed the phone from Norcross's grasp after what Richardson describes in his report as a very brief altercation.
Altercation?
Norcross
You just took his phone and that was it.
because
That was the end of it.
stalking investigation. At this time, officers did not know where Snyder was located. While still on scene, Officer Richardson received information from an American Fork resident stating that several YouTubers had been renting an Airbnb property from this citizen. Officers
This is when they
responded
raid
to
it.
the Airbnb with the intent to arrest Snyder for an additional count of stalking.
So it really seems like the entire community over here, like the Mormon community here, is all over Josh's meat to, like, really ride or die for him. So now they're just snitching on them just having an Airbnb. That seems completely unprompted that one of the residents was like, there's some YouTubers that bought this Airbnb. Go raid them with guns, please, ASAP. That's scary. That's some freaky shit.
Upon arrival, officers developed probable cause, including information gathered from video surveillance from the Airbnb, to believe that Snyder had entered the residence and had not yet exited. Officers then prepared a search warrant affidavit requesting authorization to enter the residence to locate and arrest Snyder. During contact with the Airbnb...
By the way, they don't do this for real stalkers. They would never do this to a real stalker. For an average normal citizen, if you have a stalker that is like a threat to your actual life, they would never go this far. You would be dead in the ground before they ever even thought of acting.
The owner reported overhearing conversations about possible stolen Legos. Specifically, officers wrote in the search warrant affidavit, the homeowner also disclosed that he could hear multiple individuals inside the residence speaking about possibly stolen Lego toys they had taken.
How reliable.
Officers added a request within the search warrant affidavit seeking authorization.
We heard some like crackhead say that he thought he heard them talking about Legos they stole.
Including Lego merchandise. 4th District Judge Roger W. Griffin.
By the way, this is exactly what Josh said he would do if he pursued legal action against him, if he tried to sue him. Josh said point blank, you stole the Legos then, bitch, how about that? So you have two choices. You can shut the fuck up, or we can go this route. Ben didn't shut up, and now all of a sudden they've got a search warrant here about some stolen Legos that they got from an anonymous guy who was apparently just chit-chatting, thinking that he heard them talking about the stolen Legos they have.
Reviewed and approved the search warrant. Officers executed the warrant as a knock and announce warrant. What this means is that our officers take the time to knock on the door, to present themselves as officers, and to inform anyone inside that they have a search warrant. As they were doing this, individuals came to the door. Ultimately, 5 individuals exited the residence. Those individuals were identified as Benjamin Snyder, Tyler Shaw, Stephen Allen, Sierra Lautz, and a male who was later identified as a 16-year-old juvenile. As the individuals exited the residence, they were placed in handcuffs while officers secured the scene. During Snyder's detention, Lieutenant Adamson took hold of Snyder's right arm. Lieutenant Adamson later reported that he felt Snyder tense his arm, at which point Adamson moved Snyder's right arm behind his back to place him into custody. Mr. Snyder later addressed this incident in one of his YouTube videos. In the X-ray image displayed by Mr. Snyder in that video, a small L is visible in the upper right-hand corner of the X-ray. The L indicates the image is that of the left shoulder. The video shows Lieutenant Adamson handling Snyder's right arm during the arrest.
Oh, that's interesting.
Officers documented no complaints of arm or shoulder pain by Mr. Snyder during his detention, transport, or booking process at the jail. All 5 individuals were transported to the American Fork Police Department. Due to limited interview room availability, the individual...
That was just a stock image? In the video, is it just a stock image? I didn't look too hard at it. What the officer fails to address, though, is why he did that in the first place. The officer said that Ben was attempting to run, or gave him an indication that he was about to run, which is why he roughed him up there, why he grabbed him in the first place. I don't know why that slips through here with him not addressing that. Is the X-ray in the Ben video just stock? That would make sense because it's not like they're going to give him an X-ray in the pen. So that would make sense if he just grabbed the stock image. Yeah, it's even disclosed that it is just a stock image in the video. Got it. So this is him trying to dunk on it for being misleading, while ignoring the fact that he shouldn't have been grabbing Ben's arm like that in the first place because he wasn't attempting to run. It is provably wrong in the body cam. He is not uncooperative or giving any indication he's about to flee. So it shouldn't have happened to begin with.
rooms and holding cells while interviews were conducted. The juvenile male was also immediately released to his parents upon arrival at the police department. The 4 adult individuals...
I think he was just showing it for reference in the video, since most doctors can tell when an arm is out of place and you wouldn't normally need an x-ray for it. That's super true. They don't really do that for a dislocation, huh? That's a good point. I guess it really was just for, like, the explanation or the flair of it. But I'd be willing to take his word for it that it was, like, an actual injury that he sustained there. Because, again, the officer did get rough with him, get physical off of nothing. He said that he looked like he was about to run, but you can see in the body cam, he wasn't. Not even close. Can't hear the audio? Hey, take that up with the American Fork Police Department, file a complaint, have them fire their audio engineer, or have them hire one, because this shit is abominable. I've done all I can for it. That's on them.
Agreed to interviews with Detective Nicosia. The contents of those interviews are documented in the Associated Police reports, which will be made available through a link accompanying this
You
video.
can't because they took down their website.
Ultimately, Detective Nicosia
They moved it to the Bricks and Minifigs official site, I bet.
Appeared to have been acting at the
They're
direction
private
of
contractors now.
Mr. Snyder. These 3 individuals were ultimately released from the police department. Mr. Snyder was subsequently transported to the Utah County Jail, where he was booked for an additional charge of stalking. I understand that many people following this situation online have strong feelings regarding the underlying business dispute out of Oregon and allegations that individuals may have lost significant amounts of money. I recognize that people are frustrated, angry, and may feel that justice has not been served in relation to those allegations. Those concerns are understandable. I understand them and I'm empathetic to them. And nothing in the actions taken by the American Fork Police Department should be interpreted as validating, supporting, or defending anyone involved in that separate civil dispute.
How can you possibly say that with a straight face and a soft voice? At no point throughout this entire thing has a single law enforcement official from your department been anything but confrontational to Ben and his team. Despite a literal court victory, they continue to treat him as though everything he's presenting is fabricated and false. And instead, constantly at the beck and call of Josh. How can you possibly even say that, man? What a joke. And, that's a good point, the female cop that was on the scene like the first time with the Brandon Best, when he went to have the civil discussion there, as lawfully ordered to do, she immediately regurgitated what Brandon Best was saying, instantly taking his side and supporting his account of the events. Again, the body cam betrays what you're saying, bro.
Our responsibility in Utah was not to determine who was morally right or wrong in a business disagreement originating in another state. Our responsibility was to respond to conduct reported here in our community, evaluate the facts available to our officers at the time, and enforce Utah law as officers established probable cause that a crime had occurred. The fact that someone may believe they have been wronged financially does not exempt any individual from the laws governing harassment, trespassing, stalking, or other conduct within our jurisdiction. We remain committed to enforcing the law fairly, objectively, and transparently.
Then get Josh's ass to court, bro. The whole thing could have been solved if he would just take the papers. Your officer couldn't even give him the papers, because he has more power than your department, I guess, where he can just say no. And he still hasn't paid out the settlement. What are you talking about, man? If that's what you want, then enforce the law fairly. Get Josh on the horn. Get his bitch ass in here.
Regardless of who is involved or what narrative may exist.
That was quite a statement, American Fork Police Department. That was quite a statement.